How's everybody doing today? Happy Sunday. Tamara Tamu here bringing you another off-the-cuff episode of Unleashed Alchemy, where on this channel we talk about going against the grain so that you can live a soul-fulfilled life that is full of enchantments, magic, in every single moment and in every single aspect of your life. So on this episode, it's going to be short, but I want to give you this message about spiritual gifts, okay? So before we get started, I want to remind you that I do hold one-to-one sessions with people. I offer a package. It is a 12-session package where we work one-on-one to take you from programming of all kinds, specifically religious programming, to get you to a place where you are experiencing spiritual ecstasy. Okay, walking in your gifts with confidence, walking in your Christ consciousness in the way that Yeshua and a bunch of other people were trying to show us. But we turned away from our power because either it was too scary, or we allowed programming to come in and say, there's no way that you as a human being walking on this earth can have that much power. We allowed all of those lies to cloud who we are, okay? And during these sessions, part of my role here is to break you out of that, all right? To break you out of that, to stand firm in your I am power with confidence once and for all, okay? Not tiptoeing around who you are, but accepting the all of you. All right. So book a complimentary call with me today so that we can discuss more how I can support you on your spiritual odyssey. Also, I have a surprise for the month of July. All the month of the July, I am offering a percentage off of my membership, Unleashed Alchemy Magic School. It is a yearly membership. Okay, I've transitioned from monthly to you pay for it for the year. Okay, let's just be out front and open about that. So right now, for the month of July, it will be $888 for the full month. All right. So the links to book a complimentary call for working with me one-on-one. The link for that will be in the description box of this video, and also the link for the Unleashed Alchemy Magic School for you to enroll for the year. It will be in the description box of this video as well. So let's get into spiritual gifts. So what has sparked this particular video, and I've talked about spiritual gifts often throughout my videos on this channel if you have been subscribed to the channel for some time. But I wanted to give you this message today because I had just a wonderful conversation with someone just yesterday about, it wasn't specifically about spiritual gifts, but it was about the healing power that this person carries because of their experiences. And going through the experience that they had over almost a decade, they let me know that they were contemplating writing a book. Now, we had this conversation through messaging, not face to face, but their response to me was, because I saw the message where they, explained just in summary how tough their experience was. And it was heartfelt. You felt every single word that this person wrote, okay? There was nothing flaky. It was very real and raw. And took a lot of courage to put that out in the open, to express it in the way that he did, in his way, based on his experience. A lot of wisdom, a lot of shape-shifting, a lot of lineage healing that was in his words that he did not recognize. Okay. So my response was, okay, where's the book? Where is the book? And he reminded me of that yesterday when we were talking face to face. And I said, well, I said, I wasn't joking. Where is the book? And he, told his story again with even more heart in what he was saying. And you could tell that he was still processing all of the emotions that he had to process going through that. Okay. And so he mentioned the book again. He said, yeah, I saw the message about the book, but I just don't feel like my story is that big of a deal. He said, I felt like this was something that I needed to do. And I was willing to look like the bad guy or look like the villain through this process in order to fulfill my responsibility. I'm not going to get into detail about the story, but he said, this is just something that I knew that I was going to do, and something that I had to do, and something that I desire to do. So I don't look at this as a big deal. And I talked to him about all the healing that was in the message, and the healing that could be in this book, and a series of books that he could do just from this experience. It helped so many people across, people, men, women, across all, it doesn't matter the race. It doesn't even matter age either. Okay. So I thought about that when he said, it's not even, I don't view it as a big deal. This is the stance that many of you take when it comes to your spiritual gifts. Now, he didn't look at the wisdom that he gained from his experience as healing for other people, because in his mind, he was just like, well, this is what I just knew that I was going to do. I didn't know how long the process was going to take, but I was willing to go through this process. And as he was going on through the process, he still didn't view it as a big deal, even when he had people coming to him saying, man, how do you deal with this? How are you going about this? How can you show me how you're working through this? Can you show me the steps that I need to take, because I am attempting to do what you're trying to do? I also have the same desire. Even after people coming to him for his wisdom, for his magic, he still didn't see it as a big deal. And this is why you see a lot of people that will say, well, I'm trying to find my purpose, or I'm trying to find my gifts. I'm trying to find my spiritual gifts. And this is when we miss, when the gifts are slapping us in the face, because we don't view it as supernatural. We don't view it as a big deal, because it comes so natural to us. So this is what I want to tell you. Number one, and I'm going off the cuff here, you've been here for a while, when I don't do notes, that's a risk for everybody, for me, at least. So anyway, we're going to get through this. So number one, you have to understand that your gifts, your spiritual gifts, are laced with your experiences, with the wisdom and lessons that you've gained from your experience. So I used the story from the individual that I was talking with yesterday about how he should write a book, how he needs to write a book, that there's healing in the book, that there's healing in his voice, that there's healing in his words. Healing is a gift that, even not just healing for him, healing for all involved, healing for his lineage, because what he needed to do, he saw the opposite of what was done, and he was willing to go against the grain to say, wait a minute, I saw this done another way, but I know that I have this inner wisdom that is pushing me in the other way, because I want a certain type of result. And he didn't view it as lineage healing at all. And that is, and I also said this, let me say this. That's where it can be so powerful, where you can be so powerful, where you don't even view it as a big deal, because even, and there's purity in that, because there's really no ego involved. And yet at the same time, I'm going to say this too. This is where, when it comes to our gifts, and when it comes to us knowing our, I don't even want to say mission, because that, even there's a construct with that, but even knowing who we are and what we came here to do, ego is necessary. But we tell the ego, okay, ego, you support our spiritual odyssey, not the other way around. The ego has its place. So when I say that there was no ego involved in him telling his story, there was no ego involved there, and that's where his gift can be even more powerful. I'm not saying that we need to push the ego to the side. No, we just need to put the ego in its place, to tell the ego how it's going to serve our spiritual life and our soul fulfilled life. Okay. So number one, our spiritual gifts are laced with our experiences, our life experiences. I will give you another example. I grew up in a cult. Okay. I grew up in a religious cult. I intuitively knew, I could feel it in my body, that everything was it was wrong. It was awry. Everyone felt weird. Everyone around me, it felt like something was just grabbing at me, that was trying to squeeze me and choke the life out of me. It didn't happen, obviously, but I could feel that. I could walk into spaces and somehow knew the whole story. I could read the room. I could read people, and it wasn't even something that I was doing intentionally. It was just happening. There would be information that would come to me about people, and I'm thinking, why do I want to know this? How do I know this? That is a gift that I gained that was sharpened through, I will say not gained, but I would say sharpened through growing up in a cult. That gift of reading situations, reading environments, that is a gift that is laced with my experience, some of my experiences. Okay. Also, your spiritual gifts are intertwined with what you have a natural affinity toward, with what you already have a passion for. Your spiritual gifts are laced with what you are naturally good at. So, if you have told yourself, or you've been saying, well, I don't know what my spiritual gifts are, or I'm trying to find what my spiritual gifts are, or you're finding yourself going down a rabbit hole of spiritual gifts and how do I find them? Stop the rabbit hole hunt. It is not necessary. What I would invite you to do is go back to the basics. Look at your experiences. Look at the lessons. Look at what was learned. Look at what you could say, oh, I went through this, but if I didn't go through that, then I would not know this. And you fill in the blank. I would invite you to write this out. Okay. Also, I would also invite you to look at what you have an affinity toward. What are you passionate about? What are you good at? This is where your ego comes in. If you know you can sing, then say you can sing. If you know that you can take a word, one word, and write a full poem, full song, full book from that word, then say that I'm good at this. It's easy for me to do this. If you can play an instrument, if you are good at playing an instrument, do not cancel out those things. Do you not know? Let's take the example of song, of instrument and singing. Do you not know how much healing is in frequency of sound? Do you not understand the healing power that is in that? So, I say all of that to say this. You do not need to look outside of yourself for what your spiritual gifts are. They are right there. You just have to take the time to gift yourself the time to go back to the basics and ask yourself these questions. What have my experiences been? Okay. How have they shaped me? What do I have an affinity toward? If it's, for example, I've always had an affinity toward what people would call witchy things. I've always had an affinity toward hoodoo. I've always had an affinity toward candles and herbs and oils. I've always had an affinity toward that. So look at those things. Do not take those things for granted. And lastly, go back to what you are good at, what comes natural for you, what you don't think is a big deal. If you are a writer, maybe you love to write. Look at that. Do not just push that to the side because somehow you think that, oh, this can't possibly be a gift that I carry as a part of my spiritual odyssey. This can't be part of the spiritual gift that I'm looking for. No, look at all of that. All right. So I invite you to do a writing exercise and just write all of that out. Answer all those questions, rewind this video, and take the time to do that for yourself. Because what you are looking for is not outside of you. Your gifts are not outside of you. They are right here. Right here. All right. So again, if you want more support on your spiritual odyssey, more one-on-one support, check out the link to book a complimentary call with me so we can talk more. Also, the Unleashed Alchemy Magic School, for all the month of July, there will be a discount on the yearly membership. So check it out. All right. And until next time, cheers.